Welcome back to the DoorDash LCO. We're having a damn good time here tonight, and before we get into the final game of this evening, we do have a present for Rusty. So let's bring this one up. It's a present. You wanted it. You asked for it. I know Nat asked for it, but look, let me just say you asked for it. And it's Rusty with his stats not lying. So absolutely on bloody point there, Bronson. Give him VIP if he's in chat. Look, I know it's not my job to throw it around, but everyone in chat, if you're Bronson, say, hey, I'm Bronson, and you'll get VIP. I promise you that. Now, moving on.
Can I just quickly say that I've never seen that much forehead on a human.
Even on yourself?
Like, that is exceptional. Like, mine stops here. That photo goes to, like, there.
You know what, though? I reckon if you keep growing your hair out, you might actually be able to manage that hairstyle.
I could try.
It's almost half as long as it needs to be.
Shakira forehead, and she has a normal amount of forehead.
I'm just gonna 17 head, man.
Yeah, so maybe your face was just squished a little bit too much, so it made it look
Can I at least have hair
like
next time, man?
5 head?
I don't think he should be.
Heaps of hair out to the sides.
The amount of forehead, I wouldn't give him VIP. Mac will, but I wouldn't. I'm just saying, that's a lot of forehead.
Rusty, you're a harsh taskmaster.
Yeah, if you're going to Photoshop someone, man, you got to do it correctly. That's all I'm saying.
Too much forehead. Can't be doing that.
That was a lot of forehead.
I hope you're uncomfortable. Anyway, let's talk about the match, because stop judging people for their foreheads, all right? I've got a big forehead, and, you know, it's got a lot of brain in there, I hope. Legacy, let's talk them first. So, doing a pretty good job at getting an upset or two in the last couple of weeks and really starting to rise up to what we expected from them. Winter as well with his little old sunglasses. Hopefully he's playing with those today to block out all the haters, Rusty. And Styled as well, having a pretty good game the other day. So, Rusty, what is the recipe for success for Legacy right now?
Well, just a quick check, Mac. Not a lot of photoshopping done on these players' foreheads, so I think we're good to go. Recipe for success, I do think revolves mostly around mid and jungle, but it's how the rest of the team has been working around that also that has started to really give them some more solid victories overall. I think Emelg and Styled have had some fantastic showings. I think Winterer has really started to come into his own as well, not just in interviews, but in gameplay. Yep. And we're finally seeing a more successful, aggressive breed of League of Legends from Legacy, right? Sybil ganking mid, Inkozio getting level 2 solo kills, getting level 2 gank kills, like constantly every game now.
Yeah, just managing to get that level 2 spike that little bit earlier than his opponent and make it work. Now, battle of two teams. Let's quickly talk Mammoth as well. Finally getting the W on the board yesterday. Are they going to be able to get a second one? That's the question. No, Way's still got hair, Photoshop, and egg on his head. Please.
Him.
We need it. We need Egghead Way in the server, because that is the power spike that Mammoth needed. Jordan, why is Way bald? Tell me.
Why is Way bald? Because they lost 12 games in a row. That's why he's bald. But they didn't lose 13 games in a row. So maybe he can start growing his hair back. You know what? Maybe we should say Way gets to grow his hair until they lose a game again. And as long as they keep losing, he has to keep shaving the hair. But if they keep winning, he can grow his hair back as long as possible. And maybe he'll end up looking like that rusty version of Shakira that we just saw if they do manage to reverse sweep this season. That's going to be a tough ask, but that's kind of what they need. To be fair, though, confidence level's got to be at an all-time high for Mammoth after the win yesterday. Good one. That said, the question of whether or not they can continue to win, I'd have to say it is going to be a difficult task. Even against Legacy, who have sort of had their struggles over the last couple of weeks, there's still going to be a difficult task, I think, today for Mammoth. I mean, you look at the head-to-head records between these two teams, even going so far back as Split 1, and Mammoth hasn't actually beaten Legacy at all in LCO. So if they're going to start doing it, today is probably not a bad day to do it, and they'd be able to string their first 2 wins together in the LCO as well. So that'd be exciting.
There you go. And just a quick update as well. We do actually have 6 Bronsons in chat, so please give them all VIP. Hopefully you aren't lying through your teeth. But in terms of this game, you look, Mammoth, you've mentioned they did get the Exodia team comp yesterday. Do you think that they'll be able to get that again today, Jordan?
Look, if they get that same composition that they got yesterday, I will be absolutely amazed. I don't think that's going to be an easy one to put together. But at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of good champions on offer, right? The game seems to just have such a number of strong picks these days that you can put together a good team composition regardless.
Well, we've got a pretty good team composition here. Actually, let's add one more. Nat, come on back to the conversation. Are you excited for this final matchup of the evening?
Absolutely. I'm excited for every game, but I'm definitely very excited for this one.
Oh, okay. Now, who do you have to have a quick chin wag to before we jump into the game?
I have Frost and Amelg joining me. Thank you both so much. Frost, I want to say congratulations on the win yesterday. How does it feel? And where's the confidence coming into the game today?
It feels really good to win yesterday, but I think it's all thanks to our mid lane, Bold Way, the better version of Way. So I think we're gonna keep the momentum going this game.
Yeah, that's actually the next thing I was going to ask you is, do you think the confidence off the back of the win yesterday is enough to give you guys the confidence in game today and get another win?
Definitely. I think our top lane really stepped up last game, and he's looking to still gap every top laner in us. So yeah.
I look forward to it. Amelg, does it worry you that Mammoth have Bold Way and that potentially could be the secret for them to win?
Not really, honestly. We're kind of cruising, hoping to make way or trim off something else. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's a conversation you guys are having somewhere else. But I do want to know, you've literally made me lose my train of thought here. But your thoughts on your personal performance and Legacy's performance as a whole, because you say you guys are cruising right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this last time, but I feel like I'm starting to come into my own a lot more, and the team as a whole is doing better, at least recently. I mean, I definitely said the same thing last time, and then we had an 0-3 week, so I'm not gonna say too much this time. But yeah, hoping to continue the success.
Yeah, hopefully. And really quickly, last one for us for you guys. What do you think you learned from the last time you went up against Legacy to get the win today?
Confidence. I think that's the major thing.
Okay, I mean, look, I would have to agree. Confidence is a pretty key thing, and both of you look like you have it. So I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excited, as always, and I'm hoping that we get to see a banger of a matchup to close things out here. Of course, both the teams want it so damn much. Now, I feel like Frost needs to be one of the keys to success for Mammoth. Obviously, yesterday, it ended up being Nectar, of all people, who has had a lot of rough performances. So maybe it's just if everyone starts to hit their stride at the same time, then Mammoth can make this happen, although Legacy are looking to be in slightly better form at the moment. However, let's have a quick look at which way you guys have predicted. Of course, I've gone with Twitch chat. You get one last opportunity before I make my mind up on whether I'll continue to let you do my predictions or not. I pretty much did my last prediction, so good job, chat, for allowing me to do that. Now, Rusty, 42 and 13. You are out in the lead by, I think, like 4 points now.
I think it's 4. I think Skimmy caught up earlier with his first game prediction that he got correct that I did not when I went for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gone for Legacy on this one. I think that, thank you for confirmation, person in my ear. I forgot what I was going to say. Let's move on.
We've all got Legacy.
Oh, everyone's gone Legacy. There you have it. So Skimmy, 38. Yeah, 4 points. There you are. So there's the confirmation that you needed. And Nat, you've gone for Legacy as well. Jordan, you've also gone for Legacy. Wow, no bloody surprises there. Why, hey?
Look, Mammoth got a win yesterday, so you got to give them some credit there. But they did have an Exodia comp. I'm not sure that Legacy is going to let them have that. I think that Legacy's, despite a little bit of an inconsistent team, I think they're one of those teams that you probably do expect to put away Mammoth on 90% of occasions that they do play against each other. So for me, I just think Legacy's a slightly better team, and that's kind of the TLDR of it.
Okay. Do you want dessert, by the way?
Yeah, what's on offer?
Oh, you want some Krispy Kremes?
I'll have that, yeah.
Yeah, well, exclamation DoorDash, and you can order yourself some, because I'm not buying you any, boy.
I thought you were getting me some.
It's time for the game. Champ Select is ready. Legacy and Mammoth. Here we are. Enjoy it.
Mac, mate, is a real dog. I reckon we should get that host from the other day back again. He was much nicer. But anyway, let's talk about Legacy and Mammoth. It is Mammoth that is now no longer winless, and whether or not that will spur on a streak of wins does remain to be seen. And despite my prediction here that I think Legacy will win, I have to say it's probably the best opportunity that Mammoth have got to actually grab themselves a second win, especially in a row. Obviously, having just burst Gravitas, you know, Gravitas out of the picture. So who's the other team that seems beatable for Mammoth? I guess it probably is Legacy at this point. And so hopefully they're coming into this game with a degree of confidence that they can actually take the W here today.
Yeah, I mean, logically, right, both teams on a win should be looking at their opponents and saying this is the most winnable game of the season right now, right? A bit of momentum on both sides for Mammoth. It's the first step on a run. We know they're definitely always going to win and make playoffs, so we're just looking for that next step. For Legacy, definitely fighting to stay in playoffs form and keep close to their rivals that are starting to get those wins as well. A couple of people only 2 wins away, I believe, from playoffs themselves. But here, Jordan, that first pick, ooh, it's pretty dangerous to give that away.
Yeah, Gwen certainly is. You know, and I'm just looking at the composition that Mammoth put together yesterday, and these two were a key feature of that. Thresh and Aphelios secured for Mammoth. Now, they won't be able to get the Lee Sin, they won't be able to get the Viego, so there's already going to have to be some changes made for Mammoth. But I will be interested to see what Legacy goes for here in terms of their support, or maybe even their top laner. I'm looking towards Karma, obviously, as being a pick here for Mammoth. They did have that yesterday for Wei. Now that we have obviously the Gwen and the Nautilus taken through for Legacy, you'd probably not be expecting to see the Karma through here for them unless the Gwen is going to go into, I mean, either mid or jungle maybe, but see what Incursio ends up actually locking in.
Yeah,
Corky's an interesting one.
Sybil was always going to be a question. You can lock in your bottom lane here before the second ban phase. Makes sense, just because that's what your opponents have. But with Graves, Lee Sin, Viego, Xin Zhao as well removed from the cards, a Sybil option could have been the way to go. Just knowing, right, that he does seem to favor AP champions when a couple of these are gone. So this second ban phase could target Sybil pretty heavily. We'll see. For now, we wait for Mammoth.
Well, we do get the Volibear selection, which is not a particularly out there pick. It's something that Gudo has opted to go towards multiple times, and maybe not a terrible choice into the Gwen. You know, you want to get in on top of your opponent as a Volibear, and so you're going to be able to deal with Gwen relatively appropriately, not to mention the fact that he does have good early game skirmishing, so something that Gudo can probably use to influence the game early on in the piece. And for Mammoth, that seems to be quite an important point of their composition and of their team. If Gudo has a good game, then the rest of Mammoth does tend to as well. I just like the fact that we've got a Aphelios Thresh through here for Mammoth as well. I think whatever you draft around that, you're always going to give yourself a fairly reasonable chance of success.
New glasses on today for all 10 pixels of Winterer. Definitely looking stylish as per usual.
They could literally be fake glasses and we wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's true. We actually have no
Could be
idea.
like a paper printout and it would just look like, hey, that could be glasses.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. We'll have to get a high definition bit of proof there. Just looking at these bans as well, the AP champions that I was highlighting from Sybil are actually getting banned away, so they're really just targeting his champion pool in general. Very curious to see where he chooses to go now as a result of this. Sejuani was one of his defaults that has, you know, limited success, I will say. And Echo is literally the only other champion out of this pool right now that he has played on stage. Lilia is what I would like him to pick right now. I think that would be the one that makes the most sense.
Rumble in the jungle? How about that?
It can be. Rumble got pretty nerfed and it has been removed in favor of a lot of other junglers. The limited ability to W start, you know, I think it's now Q, has made it harder. So I think he has to be leashed, so a little bit more predictable, a little bit slower, not as good as it was, but still can work, I believe, is the state of Rumble in the jungle.
Well, it's definitely not going to be Bard, can tell you that much for free, and I'm happy to actually see it be an AD mid laner here with the Lucian locked in. That seems like a good choice. I was just looking at the composition, I was wondering, you know, if we do get something AP through here, are we going to really have enough AD threat, given that there's the Gwen and the Rumble?
Is this a Wei Yasuo angle?
Is this a Wei Yasuo angle? Oh,
I hope it is.
A couple of knockups available, definitely an option. They have the AP damage already from Gragas, but it'll be the lock-in of the LeBlanc, which Has actually been quite a successful champion so far this split, though not for Wei. We actually haven't seen him play it so far, which will be interesting to see him pick up a new one. For the most part, the rest of the composition that Mammoth have put together are on familiar territory, although even Gragas, something a little bit new for Nectar this split as well.
Yeah, a couple of different champions for Mammoth, but the same for the LCO is really the way that you'd be looking at this one. I think in general, Mammoth have a pretty solid composition. A lot of reliance on Gudo getting some work done, but that just sounds like Gudo. I think Mammoth and Legacy is going to be a bloodbath early. It just feels like it's one of those games. And when we actually take stock of the draft here, note that it is Incursio that is playing the Gwen into the LeBlanc. And it is actually a Lucian top lane. So I think a little bit more pressure there in top for Legacy, perhaps less in mid. Wei might be able to run away with the early laning phase, but she's just untargetable all the time. So maybe she's fine.
Yeah, maybe that was something that wasn't necessarily expected as well. I do wonder because I'm not sure how much we've seen of Incursio on the Gwen. A little bit here and there, I'd imagine. Just having a look back at some of his games. Actually, it looks to be the first time that he's played it so far this split. And so maybe for Winterer having a little bit more of a run on the Gwen so far, that might have been the expectation for Mammoth. But either way, it is going to go the way that it has. And so pretty cool to see how this matchup does actually pan on out. You know, obviously to note down in the bot lane as well, you do have the Nautilus into the Thresh matchup. So that should theoretically be a little bit favorable for ML. Styled over onto the Varus, a champion that he is quite comfortable on. We've seen a lot from him this split, and he's had some really, really good games on that champion as well. It's just that sometimes I feel like Varus isn't the champion that can carry the game. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes you see a really fed Varus, you think that's scary, but then while they're doing a lot of damage to you, they're kind of nuking you. They're not finding a way to influence the game as much as something like, say, an Aphelios might be doing. So I think that's something to be wary of. It is looking like it's going to be the lethality Varus coming through here for Styled as well, so that's something to sort of think about. And I suppose maybe it's a good time for you to have a little bit of a rest, Rusty. You've been working pretty hard. I'm going to get Jalal in for a chat here, obviously the coach of Mammoth. And I mean, first of all, massive congratulations, Jalal, for the win yesterday. How are the feelings in the camp? And is that kind of like a weight off of your shoulders?
Yeah, definitely. It feels like a big momentum swing for us. Definitely, it shows that we can win our games as well on stage and not just in scrims.
Yeah, hopefully going to be able to double down today against Legacy. It's definitely a possibility. Talk me through the team composition. Obviously, a few discussions around what you managed to draft yesterday. It felt like a bit of an Exodia comp. Are you feeling as happy today with what you've got? Are you happy with how these two drafts have panned out?
Yeah, I feel like we knew what they wanted to pick and we had options in mind. And I think we got close to what we wanted. Not exactly what we wanted, but close enough.
You think the Gwen in the mid lane and the Lucian in the top lane is a bit of a curveball? We sort of thought it might be the other way around.
We talked about this and it was definitely an option whether they like blind picked Gwen and then they could always flex the Lucian top and Gwen as well. So it's something we discussed and I feel like it's still good for us.
Awesome. And final question before we let you go. How do you go about actually preparing for a game against a team like Legacy? Because they do seem like, for lack of a better word, I feel like they're an erratic team, right? Where they're going to just sort of draft something crazy. They're going to pull something different out. They're going to play a different way. So are you feeling sort of comfortable coming into this match? Or is Legacy a difficult team to plan for?
I think it's relatively okay. I don't think it's too hard. It's just about drafting for their tendencies as well as in-game tendencies as well and making sure the players know what to do.
Awesome. All right. Well, Jalal, I think we'll leave it there for you and say best of luck in this game.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Hopefully 2 from 2 for Mammoth. Rusty, as far as the early game is concerned, nothing really to note, just pretty standard fare across the board.
Yeah, nothing really crazy that you would expect. Top should just be losing for Nectar early. He needs to make sure the wave crashes and get protected when it bounces back. Unfortunately for him, his jungler is pathing to the other side of the map, so could be a point of focus in the next minute to a minute and a half. In saying that, Sybil has gone for a leashless Rumble start. We mentioned how much weaker the champion feels. His lack of health is an indicator of that, but we'll be able to use the second smite, presumably for the blue buff or the Gromp to get all of his health back anyway, get level 3 and do a little bit more overheat clearing. of the jungle. I still think that I would favor Gudo between which champions I would like to play. Mid, kind of, again, like, LeBlanc should just have run of this lane. It's range versus melee early. And Gwen isn't a Zed, you know? Gwen doesn't actually have insane burst to match. She's very reliant on being in melee range of you. So LeBlanc should just handle this.
A nice little trade back from Incursio at the very least, as Wade distorts forward. Down in the bot lane, the shove is favorable for Mammoth. They're keeping Legacy stuck underneath their tower. They had the early information that Sybil was pathing towards the top side by virtue of the ward on the Raptors camp, so they're more than happy and comfortable to keep shoving that wave in, and they're quite confident in the lane, it seems like. Winter up against Nectar in the top lane, still fairly even at the moment. Sybil's going to show his head in mid, but really won't manage to get too much done here.
Yeah, he's just looking to push this one in, giving Curzio a free reset. Even picks up a cheeky cannon for himself there, I think. So you're quite chuffed, the Rumble. In saying that, a recall has already happened for Gudo, who gets Boots of Lucidity with his Predator. So he's definitely on the map now ready, raring to go, trying to find himself a gank. And top lane was a cheater recall for Winterer. So, you know, you could take the opportunity to... Ooh, is he going to die?
I'd say Nectar should get out of this one alive. Has got Flash available. And in fact, doesn't even need to use it. So that's lucky. But it does give Winter a lot of priority up in this top lane. He's allowed to now set up a freeze, which Nectar's going to have difficulty breaking, given that he is a melee champion.
Yeah, it goes Tier and Cloth Armor as well. So if he's going to try and break this freeze, it could be a slow affair. Lucian can hold freezes decently well. Either way, this is kind of what we said could likely happen in top lane, and this is going to be a pretty sizable advantage for the Lucian. And I don't think that gets better for Nectar. I don't think there's really a point where a tier build, probably into tank, will have kill threat onto a Lucian without jungler intervention.
Well, speaking of jungler intervention, we got the Boots 2 completed for Gudo and for Sybil, so both of them looking to quickly work their way around the map. It is a Predator Volley Bear, by the way. So that is something to keep a note of. He's going to be looking to just, you know, absolutely zoom into one or two of these lanes. Hasn't had that early impact just yet that we would have hoped to have seen, but maybe come level 6, tower dives on offer.
I think Dragon's probably the play here. Wei should be able to force priority. This wave is building for him anyway, and Curzio's just used his... Harrowing Mist, the bloody W, untargetable by the way. I think that, yeah, bot lane's the play into Dragon.
Well, here goes Gudo. Speeds things up there as well. On to ML, but Spider-Man survives. And that is actually at the cost of a flash ignite for Shinky. Does cause a couple of flashes to go down for the Legacy bot lane, but overall, not too disappointing for Legacy.
If the hook hits there, it's a different story. Mammoth probably get themselves first blood, but Amelg's able to connect with the wall, cover some distance, get his way out to safety. Overall, the plan is still there from Mammoth. They're using their priority. They're transitioning into objectives. They're just not able to find the kill with that. The risk is, of course, Sybil on the other side here has been farming his way up pretty happily overall to level 6. He's looking for a steal.
He's going to go over the wall as well. He's feeling confident. He's going to chase Mammoth away. Flashes forward. Play will cause the disengage to be successful for Mammoth, but that is a free Dragon for Legacy.
Yeah, just gives them the boot. And the idea is fine with what Mammoth tried to do. Their execution was that it was just a Thresh and a Volley Bear hitting the objective. If you have mid priority, you can move your mid laner. Wei has teleport, so there's a real world where you just help them, right, to take it faster. Frost's reset as well, and he could just be there auto-attacking. So Mammoth try to be a little bit too efficient, and they are punished by Legacy just walking into the pit saying it's a 2v2 anyway. That's pretty free. And they get themselves a Dragon as well as pushing away Gudo from the jungle, forcing a smite on the Gromp camp, which does suck. You take those.
Oh, well, meanwhile, up in the top lane, Winter are still running things. Doesn't have a massive CS lead over Nectar at the moment, but there's a hook connected in bot onto Frosts. And even the damage coming through, not quite enough. But it looked like it might be for a second. Ignite was ticking. Nice little response from Shinky. Frost needs to be a little careful here.
Frost with a potion ticking. Has heal and flash, so he may try and greed, stay for this wave. not going to be able to pick up any of this really, so he's honestly just wasting time.
Again, you just feel a little bit concerned every time.
He's
every time
now.
Well,
Like, again, he could have been recalled and halfway to lane by now.
Yeah. Well, now Sybil has come to play, and Equalizer goes down on top of Frost. He's ticking away. Does force the heal through. Style didn't have the opportunity to put a piercing arrow in. But yeah, you've got to leave.
What are you
Feels
doing
bad,
here,
but you've got to
Goodo?
leave. Yeah, what is he doing here? I mean, if Styled makes a wrong step, Frost, you know, surely this gives away the game, but it is not going to be enough to keep Styled alive. Ultimate connecting on to Shinky, but really what does that matter when there's a volley bear behind you? And that is first blood for Mammoth.
And where did this volley bear come from? I almost held my thought. Nectar at risk of being dove is going to have to recall here as well. Mammoth being stuck with critical health under turrets constantly. Winter has flash.
Nectar does not want to base. He doesn't have teleport available, so he'd be giving up a lot if he did go back to base. He's really relying on that Gragas passive to keep him alive. And he seems to be doing a good job of it so far.
But again, the only thing that stands out to me, Style might be scratching his head saying, how on earth did Goodo get there? Behind enemy lines in the tri-bush on a control ward of his own, when at the moment that happened, there was almost complete vision for Legacy through the bottom side river. So he really did sneak in there.
Stealth volley bear. It's a scary thought. Either way, good success early on in the piece for Goodo, and that's pretty much what you want to see. Not to mention the fact that the kill actually goes on to Frost as well. So after all of that, where we're talking about him sticking around for so long, how he should have backed, whatever, he actually gets something out of it, and so works out. Hopefully that'll be able to snowball nicely for Mammoth. Sybil's going to pick himself up the Rift Herald with the assistance of the mid laner, but Styled is getting dove, and Goodo, well, he doesn't take damage from towers, does he? Styled's got nowhere to go. Had flash and heal. Used heal, but not flash.
Yeah, Styled really with no safe space down in this bottom lane. Look at the vision that Mammoth have. Right, that tri-bush still hasn't been cleared, and really Goodo's able to just reset, go straight back towards bot side, knows that they don't have vision, and that the Nautilus is roaming around the map, not actually helping his lane first. So Styled is made to suffer, but the team not really there to help him. The fact that Herald gets taken is a clear indicator of where Legacy are as well. So the floodgates open for the play that gets made in bottom. The trade's still happening. So this is still really nice for Legacy overall, getting turrets, getting gold into the hands of Winterer and Sybil, who are starting to run away with this game, and you can see that reflected through the total gold.
Oh. Emil's trying to be a bit cheeky, and I'm not sure if he even actually wants to hit that hook, to be honest. There's so many Mammoth members here.
Styled has no turret.
Styled is dead. There is no way that he survives here, surely not. Flash in from Shinky, misses the death sentence, but it doesn't matter. You can see Styled is resigned to the fact that he is dead before he even dies on that player cam.
They just can't clear the tri-push bet. This one ward is just off cooldown, giving Mammoth kill after kill. There's still so, and I have to keep bring it back to this. There is so much gold being gained on the other side of the map by Legacy that your one goal of don't die has failed 3 times.
Yeah, it's still a fairly even split. Only 300 gold in it, favoring Mammoth at the moment, but this will be a second dragon for Legacy, which might just tip the scales a little bit in their favor. I'm not sure though. I mean, a 2-0 and 0 Aphelios starts to look a little bit concerning if I'm on that Legacy roster, because he is a very, very hard scaling champion and a very, very difficult champion to deal with when there's a Thresh involved. So, I mean, this is a recipe for success for Mammoth.
Big time. I mean, the floodgates are really open for Goodo finding his way in, some early access to leads. Frost has always been, you know, the team fighter of Mammoth. And he is now the one that is 2-0 with a Kraken Slayer very early on. Lots of positives to speak about here when you're looking at Mammoth. Still, with the fact that it is dead even in overall gold, watching how Winterer gets active on the map is going to be a big point of contention for Mammoth to deal with. And Curzio has been very quiet so far, as has Wei, but both very volatile players in their own right.
Well, it might not stay dead even if Mammoth can get something done here. Nectar in a bit of trouble down in the bot lane, has got the explosive cask available, and that should be enough to get him out to safety, even without having to burn the flash. So very, very nicely negotiated by Nectar. And on the other side of the map, Mammoth are going to start to push the issue up in the top lane. Winterer is dispatching of the Gromp, which Goodo's aware of, has the ward down. But more so what I'm talking about is these plates are being donated over to Frost right now. And that is really just accelerating his lead. More money going where you want it to be. I guess you're going to look to try and hold on to it, but Goodo once again is playing with his bot lane, incidentally up in the top lane, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
It's Winterer this time, though. It's not a Varus with no mobility, so it's not as simple. But of course, there's just too many people here from the side of Mammoth, right? Goodo just waiting in the wings. Shinky able to provide the lantern to the Aphelios and just clean overall play from them. It's showing that Mammoth definitely know how to play when they have a lead. And they're working hard to get those leads. Even if their execution isn't perfect, the ideas are there and it's definitely commendable.
Well, that gold lead has gone from about 200, 300 to about 1,000 now. With that turret that Mammoth is able to pick up. Right on time as well, just as the plates fall. So overall, very good stuff from Mammoth. Winterer and the rest of Legacy going to have to do a bit of clearing out in the top side of the map. There's wards all over the place. Dragon up in 2.5 minutes. Not a whole lot for Mammoth to really focus on just yet. Goodo happy to take the clear. The two bot laners are now in mid lane. Clear those waves out and send way down into the bot lane just to deal with Incursio, who doesn't feel like a massive threat this game, which is, you know, again, it's been a win condition for Legacy, getting Incursio ahead, but now that he's not, what do we do if we're Legacy?
Yeah, they're not ahead with kills. It's still a Gwen, and it's still going to be a Riftmaker Gwen come mid-game. So, really, he'll be fine. I think, yeah, looking at Legacy and taking stock more of how they win without the kills, though, is going to be an interesting question to poise.
Wei is really just dancing around Incursio at the moment, isn't he? All those snips not quite connecting. Wei distorts in, gets a bit of damage down there as well, and look, I think it's probably going to be amounting to nothing down in that bot lane if both players are playing it correctly. Solo kill potential is not quite there.
I think with the Mythics online, though, both teams will be pretty interested in actually having a fight. Like, I don't think either team is comfortable winning without team fighting their way there. And with those Mythics, right, with the fact that Incursio is on the bottom side of the map and Herald's going to be spawning first, it's entirely possible that they play for the objective. And even Styles, you know, even the 0-3 Varus has found his way to a Mythic before the objective. And Varus isn't currently overwhelmingly, Aphelios isn't currently overwhelmingly strong in contrast. Maybe they look for it now. I just feel Legacy are just going to fight for things, aren't they? It's just their code.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's not going to be too easy to deal with Mammoth's composition, though. You know, you got a good front line there for Goodo, even Nectar able to tank up a little bit, and then Shinky keeping Frost safe. Unless the Equalizer connects, I think it's quite difficult to get on top of Frosts. We'll see how Legacy does go for things here. They actually are prompting themselves towards the Rift Herald. Not a bad time to be doing it. 30 seconds on the Dragon, though, and they'll have to be aware of that. Full control of the river has been given over to Mammoth, and maybe there's not really anything that Legacy can say about that, unfortunately, and they are just going to have to trade the Rift Herald for the Dragon. Which would be unfortunate, you know, pick up the first two Dragons, you start to think that could be a win condition if we get the Soul, and then the third one gets picked up by your opponent, sort of sets you back a little bit.
Sybil doesn't smite, though. Now, to me, that's an indicator that, again, he might be looking. Winterer with very limited mana may want to have based. Because I do think that winning the game is a Winterer angle, so I think that is a pretty clear indicator that Legacy won't be. Yeah. They are instead just going to break this mid lane out of turret, and it will be broken pretty much uncontested. Maybe even a charge on the inner.
Doesn't look like they're going to get that. Frost and Shinky just a little bit too scary. Equalizer was available for Sybil. They didn't feel that the opportunity was there. And so with the Dragon being completed, we return to a degree of normalcy. Incursio very close by to Wei. Now, is this a kill angle? Range. You'd have to think probably not. Distortion does go down at the perfect time, even though Wei didn't really know. And so both sort of just walk away. Incursio probably a little unhappy there.
Has the Everfrost, though, Wei. Not something that I often see on the LeBlancs, but that helps him. They're not really going to be able to have any kill threat. Incursio does time it correctly. All LeBlancs seem to use their distortion to clear waves because it's just faster. It's not about if you're safe or not. But still, I think the end result from this objective trade is that gold can potentially go the way of Legacy, where it is just the Dragon and the Soul Denial going the way of Mammoth, which is nice for them, but it isn't enough to get them any kind of game-winning play, where I think Legacy are able to make more plays, right, assertively with these Heralds for actual gold and map control. Makes the next fight that they look for just a bit easier.
Way jumps on top of Sybil, gets the Everfrost down, but might just about die. ML knocks him up in the air, equalizer to tick away, and Curcio looks for the final couple of killing blows, but Way is distorting all over the place. Backwards and forwards, and he survives. The culling doing some good damage. Sybil over the wall, and Curcio as well. This might be the turn the Legacy have been looking for, but they only get the one kill before the explosive cast goes down. Winterer will survive, courtesy of a heal from Styled. Overall, a 1-for-0 trade for Legacy. It gets them a little bit of gold.
I mean, the snipe connected onto Winterer there. I think that maybe just out of range, Frost prioritized a different target. That could have been closer to a kill. And look, honestly, Way just went faker, right, to survive. But that's all it was. You know, they pull a rabbit out of a hat just to stay alive in a situation where Legacy were definitely running at them incredibly well.
Yeah.
But masterful work with the LeBlanc to actually do what he did and to stay alive, including the moving of the clone to prevent a Nautilus from following up his ultimate with a hook. So beautifully done by him, but yes, Legacy still coming out ahead.
Way spending a lot of time in the side lanes, just clearing waves out. Which is fair enough. Slow and steady. Here's a replay. Way really thought he had something here.
Yeah, he did. But you have to watch the way he moves the clone here as well afterwards, right? Just denying any access from ML at the start. The clone does stop being moved after, so the hook still hits, but he's focused on surviving. Double distorts his way out, and Winterer gets into the fight, and the difference that it makes, right? It's obviously going to be large. He is a very big Lucian. And just looking at Frost here, I feel like maybe, because it was the target that came down last from his ultimate, maybe he had enough to execute Winterer. There might have been lethal, but hard to say.
Well, whatever the case, not quite there for him. Way again is going to look for Sybil. This time, Sybil doesn't have the stopwatch. So if Sybil walks up, that actually is a kill angle, I think, for Way. He's going to opt to go towards Incursio. Does miss Everfrost and the chain, at least the first one. Second goes through, but Equalizer certainly making a difference here. Sybil playing from a range. We'll get Incursio back out to safety as Death Sentence goes sailing through the bush, but won't connect onto anyone. And now Mammoth,
Goodo.
not in a good spot. And Goodo indeed is the one that is going to be offered up as the sacrificial lamb. Late entrance from Amelk, but makes it work.
And Winterer actually opting towards the Essence Reaver as his second item, not going for a Cyrilda's Grudge to be able to slow people down. Hook just missing there again from Shinky. Legacy still running away with this game piece by piece, right? Just step by step. It's slow. It's definitely not a clean game. But they're doing exactly what's required of them. Responding well to Mammoth's assertions and aggressions around the map.
Dragons up in 30 seconds. Mammoth aren't really here to contest the vision, which is going to give a lot of priority over to Legacy. Sybil even thinking about trying to snake the blue away. Looks like he'll get it. Can burn through those pretty quickly. It's going to be offered over to Styled, who's about half mana. That's nice. And the cooldown, or rather the ability haste, I suppose, now that's been given over to him is always going to be useful on Avaris, especially with this build. I wonder if Mammoth is going to feel confident in contesting this.
I think the only time that Mammoth can feel confident is probably around now, but that's a hook on.
Yeah, a little hook on to Nectar. Explosive Cask is going to knock Sybil back into no man's land, and a Death Sentence does go down. That's a Sybil without a Zhonya's, by the way. And it is now a very dead Rumble. Trade could well come through here from the culling, but Shinky safe inside of his own stopwatch. Keeps himself alive, and that's all you really need to be doing on the Thresh. We'll need to be careful of the piercing arrow.
Dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of poke on offer for Legacy, and Winter with that kill potential can just jump in there with Gale Force. Mammoth cannot be feeling too confident just yet. Death Sentence goes awry. Good the Smite battle goes his way, so that's 2 Ocean Drakes for Mammoth. But now they're on the retreat. They've just got to get out of here with as few deaths as possible. It looks like 2 kills for the Dragon. I think Mammoth... I mean, I think you could probably be okay with that. You're probably not too disappointed, but it depends on what Legacy get after this. Do they go straight to the Baron, and do they pick the Baron up?
I feel like Goodo should have just sacrificed his life for the objective in the first place. They just leave Frost to the Wolves. No Lantern to safety. And the game plan has been so heavily revolving around Frost and his team fighting. Just never going to get a chance at the moment. Legacy, just when it comes to crunch, right? Sybil may be dead. They're still able to win the 4v5 situation. Baron going to be secured here. And I think now you'll be very upset with that outcome if you're Mammoth. That second Drake means nothing for you. That was the one moment where I thought that they could fight solely because, and as you stated, there was no stasis there for Sybil, right? There was no Zhonya's Hourglass. There was no stopwatch to keep him alive. It's broken already. They find a good entry into that as well. It's just that the cost was so high, right? Cullings, Varus poke starts to add up extremely quickly. The Mammoth still force their way into the fight instead and get punished big time.
Well, Zhonya's is completed for Sybil now. And what a difference that makes to these fights. You know, it's felt like so far Sybil has been an equalizer and then dead if he's in the wrong position. But now, if he's caught out, he can be an equalizer and then a stopwatch. And that obviously provides a lot of space for the Legacy roster to work with and a bit of extra time as well. That fight wouldn't have been nearly as favorable as it was for Mammoth if the Zhonya's was available.
They can't be polarized glasses, can they, for Winter? Like,
no.
Surely he can't see everything.
I can't believe he's actually playing with them.
Like, yeah, I
couldn't think of anything worse.
And I assumed he'd take them off. Like, surely 10 minutes into the game, like, I just can't see these damn minions that I'm trying to hit. But no, let's just have a 70 CS lead and be 1-0-2, will we?
Yeah, he's gapping it. Well, the flash force out of MLK. So that is something that is a little beneficial for Mammoth, but they're going to have to turn their attention towards the bot lane, and they'll be a little bit too late to do so. This will be a free tower for Mammoth, or rather for Legacy. Mammoth just have to watch it fall by the wayside.
There's no chance they can test that one, though. Realistically, with the vision, if you look at the blue side jungle that Legacy have got control wards in, you don't know where they are ever. No. So as long as they're synchronizing their waves and playing correctly, every inner turret's pretty free for them.
Well, that could be dangerous. Death Sentence back onto ML. Maybe it doesn't matter. Stopwatch is there to keep him alive, and Shinky just gets obliterated. Nautilus Hook making the difference this time for Legacy. And I was going to say, if you just lose the one tower off the Baron, probably not too disappointed as Legacy, but they might well still lose an inhib, though Incursio is caught.
He's alive.
He's flashed out, dodged the explosive cask, and he survives.
Thief in the Night just able to get himself out to safety. Sybil trying to keep Baron on these minions just to see if he can threaten the inhibitor, but Mammoth aren't going to allow him, and so a reset will take place. And no longer just inner turrets fall. Incursio, the fact that he's able to survive is remarkable, and that bot lane inhib turret also goes down. The gold lead stretching to upwards of 6,000, closer to 7,000 gold now. And it really is starting to look like the final nail in the coffin is all that remains for Legacy to put in the Mammoth coffin.
Yeah. We'll see what happens around this next Dragon fight. Could be a big moment for Mammoth if they can manage to win one there, keep themselves in the game, and then get themselves onto soul points. But ML's just been a bit too good in terms of finding these picks with the Nautilus. He's been hitting a few good solid hooks. There hasn't been a lot of kills so far this game, but all of them have come with ML in the discussion.
Just a bit too clean, man.
1-0-4. I mean, for Styled, he's been involved in all of the kills as well.
Hey, and you'll appreciate this as a support player, but he's on the path of righteousness with his item build. Zhonya's Hourglass is just the greatest of all time item for anyone in League of Legends, supports included.
Yeah,
Rush
it feels like a bit of a cheat, really, doesn't it, actually, if you're getting it on Nautilus?
It's just broken. Like, you can't kill the Nautilus when he's got Aftershock up. And if he doesn't have it up, or you're targeting him because he's solo engaging, then he has, you know, that stasis to buy time. Zhonya's is actually just broken, man.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good indeed. All right, 20 seconds until the Dragon. Mammoth have absolutely no control of their blue side jungle. Wei could well be in a spot of bother here with Winter pressuring in towards him. Obviously, Gale Force, you've got to remember, is there for that extra bit of burst, but Everfrost connects, which doesn't amount to a whole lot because there's no one there from Mammoth to follow up. I mean, Waze 0-0-0 hasn't really had much of an impact on this game, short of clearing waves. Doesn't feel like a massive threat just yet for Legacy, and in the end, Mammoth are going to gift a free dragon over to Legacy. So Soul Point is going to go the other way.
They really are split pushing their way to victory here as well, aren't they? This is a very different brand of Legacy Esports that I'm used to seeing on the Rift. 5 kills total, 3 kill participation for Sybil and Incursio. The only person or people to have all 5 kill participation is the bottom lane of Legacy. You may make him 0-3, but no more. Styled is now 2-3-3 with a shutdown bounty on him, because why not? And they do just look like the better team in this game. That is the way that it is so far. I think Mammoth have fighting opportunities, and they have had, and probably will one more time. Frost, like you're seeing now in Total Gold, he has to be the star of the show. He's got a 50 CS lead. He's big. He's got 2 items. He's working on that Infinity Edge. If he can get Infinity Edge before Baron is a consideration here for Legacy, then I think that's the do or die moment.
Well, he's at 1.2k gold right now in the back pocket, so
He's got it then.
he's got it for
He's
the next
waiting for the next 20 gold.
next Baron.
Look at him.
There it is.
Poor soul.
Confirmed. All said and done. 3 items on Aphelios. Plus, he's got himself a Quicksilver Sash, so bit of a scary prospect, but in terms of finding ways to get into these fights for Frost, it's not that easy, is it? Equalizer can go down. There's the ever-present threat of a depth charge just right on top of you, and let's be real, what exactly is a QSS going to do against a depth charge? So
Yeah, it's almost too safe going for the QSS. I was just thinking about that. He may have wanted a Hex Drinker.
oh well, plenty of options, I suppose, and we'll have to see how this one does work for Frost, because that's what he's got. He's going to have to deal with it. He's going to have to make it work. Decent ward clearing coming through from Mammoth, but they have to be aware of what's happening up in the top lane. It looks like they are, and so they're just going to have to commit. They're just going to commit to the Baron. This is the flip of all time.
I mean, the game could end if this fails. Joy, this is going to be a very big Baron play from Mammoth. It's do or die right now.
Well, teleport's actually coming through from Incursio. He wants to fight it. Shinky's down low. Death sentence onto ML. And is it going to be the Baron? Well, it doesn't really matter which way the Baron went, did it? Because Mammoth have been utterly routed. And the last survivor is Goodo, but he will not be able to do anything. It's a teleport up into the base from Winterer. He might just finish this one off himself before the rest of the team gets there. The creeps won't let him do it. They're not close enough to take the tower. But overall, I think we can say that is unequivocally going to be quite a solid victory from Legacy in a fashion which we do not often see from them. 9 kills only on the Legacy side of things. Normally when we see a win from them, it's like a 30, 40 kill, absolute craziness. Winter is having a good time. And you got to say, that's a different brand from Legacy. Happy about that. Can't complain.
We're going to let the man have his solo. He's just shredding the keyboard right now. Respect. Sybil obviously is the exact same high spirits. Styled's just really close to his screen, Jordan. He just needs to see all the details in as close as possible. But Legacy with a very solid win. It's really hard to recover from watching someone play their keyboard like a guitar.
Yes.
And know where to break down a game, isn't it?
Especially when it's like an RGB keyboard that's all lit up and looks fancy and stuff. You know, he had it all, the glasses, of course, there as well. I can imagine Styled was just thinking, like, I didn't really get to do anything that game. You know, he dies a lot early game, gets a few kills on in there, so maybe he's not as excited about the win as Winter was. But hey, a win's a win for Legacy. You really can't be too disappointed by that. They managed to grab themselves another one after the win yesterday against Peace. It's a good week so far for Legacy, and they might well actually get a 3-0 because they're up against Gravitas tomorrow, which is potentially a winnable game for them. Definitely do need a good week like that to give themselves the opportunity to make it back into playoffs contention. We got Mac ready again for another chat. Seems like a pretty interesting game, that one, Mac. Not a whole lot happened, it felt like, and that is not normal for a Legacy game.
No, we wanted more kills. I'm not going to lie, I was bored. I wanted more action. When I have Incursio in the server, all I want to see is running it down in a good way, and then maybe a bad way, and then maybe a good way afterwards, just to see what can happen in a game of League of Legends, but we didn't get that. We got very standoffish, very appropriate play coming out from Legacy. Mammoth, of course, off to a very good start, which was a bit scary for Legacy, but then Legacy turned the tides in a good couple of team fights, and then Mammoth as well. Crazy decision right towards the end to try to flip the Baron, and then the Baron focus when you got 4 people poking you, and then you all die, and then you lose the game. So that looked a little bit rough for Mammoth towards the end game.
Definitely did. And I will just quickly give you a bit of a stat to help that, because stats don't lie, apparently.
Yep.
Legacy averaged 16.7 kills a game and 18 deaths a game. So just taking stock of what this one was in comparison, it is an absolute stark contrast, right? Much slower, more thought out, and more involving of split pushing. And I know from having worked with Sybil in the past that he believes, and I believe is an absolute, he'll be the first person in line to talk your ear off about this, that if you can split push to winning, right, like you're probably playing optimal League of Legends. So
Okay.
not too surprised that I see it from them. I just didn't think that they'd make it look so just simple, right? Like they really did just pull Mammoth around the map.
Yeah, just great macro gameplay and doing whatever the bloody hell they wanted with Mammoth. So
Yeah.
good to see. It was almost a 15k gold lead as well, which is completely ridiculous. Now, I hope we do get to see a bit more of Sybil on some more carry potential junglers as well as we do go further through the split, because well, I'm not saying Rumble can't carry, I'm just saying it's not Elise, it's not Jhin, it's not Zac, but of course all 3 of the ones I mentioned were target bans, so they really didn't want Sybil to have any fun today, did they? Now, Nat, would you let Sybil have a lot of fun in the jungle if you could?
Yeah, I mean, if he ever wanted to play a game of League of Legends, man, I'll let him go ham in the jungle and I'll just sit support down in bot.
That's a good way to be. Look, you can take the cop out like these 2 on the desk, you know, the support mains, but never be that, Nat. Never be that. You know, you're better than that. All right, now who do you have down for the winner's interview?
I'm going to be joined by Styled for the post-game. Styled, congratulations on the win. How does it feel to get the win?
I was really tilted that game, not gonna lie. Like, I almost never tilt in game, but I died to like the weirdest thing. I don't know if you guys saw, but like Volibear was, I think he was in vision maybe for like a second, but he like wrapped around us, and like he just really surprised me. And like when you play Varus and you like fall behind even like a little bit, you're so useless. Honestly, like you feel so bad. Like, so I'm pretty happy we won, but yeah. I'm still a bit disappointed, in a way.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. That was actually going to be one of my questions. You know, you definitely had the hardest lane down there on bot, and I wanted to know some more thoughts that went through your head during that, but also how you got yourself back into the game.
I think just naturally I got back into the game based on the fact that most of our pressure was on other lanes, and that gave them like a lead. And from the lead, I kind of just have to be like an ult bot, essentially, to just ult and then play for like Lucian and Rumble, and we just kill them, essentially.
So what would you put your win condition down to? What was the key advantage that you had in that matchup?
You mean the bot lane matchup or just overall?
Or just overall?
Overall, I think they drafted Achilles Fresh early, which is like good. The problem is that if you outrange it, it's pretty bad. So like we just drafted around it because they picked it really early. So we just played like Rumble, Varus, and Lucian. And yeah, like that was just the win con, right? Like just to be first to objectives, like pressure the lanes, and then essentially just fight before they can even get to us, and we just win. Like they actually can't even touch us. Like they didn't even touch us that game, I think. Like any fight, we just instantly won. So I think they just
you guys
really badly, honestly.
Okay, so a little bit in the draft, but also you guys having to be able to take those objectives. We did see a little bit, I'm not going to say a slower paced game, but a lot less kills than we normally do see from you guys. Is that just something that happened because of the draft in this matchup, or is it something that you guys are working on to try and not be taking as many fights?
Honestly, I'm not too sure like why we didn't take as many fights. I just think like there weren't really like playing very aggressively. Like mainly they just like try to pressure bot after I died, because like it's really hard for me to come back after that. But I think like they just couldn't really do anything like in any lane, and they just slowly bled out. Like we just gained CS leads like top mid, and essentially we just won from that. Like I'm pretty sure like Gragas did literally nothing that game, so we just won.
Well, look, even though you had an extremely difficult early game, and I definitely understand being a little bit tilted, you guys got the win, so congratulations. It was a great game all round, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
There you have it. Big dubs again. Now, he wasn't personally extremely happy with his performance there, as you could tell. But other than that, I think Legacy played out of their damn minds. So I think they're going to be extremely happy with that. And I think your boy in the top lane is also going to be very excited, because Winterer is your player that delivered. Thank you to DoorDash. He's going to be keeping himself fed with that $100 DoorDash voucher. But again, he is just putting on spectacular performances in the top lane for Legacy, earning the respect of a whole damn lot of the LCO players. And look, 77% kill participation. That is a pretty damn good time. Did he end up getting the Flame Horizon at the end as well there, Rusty?
I'm not actually sure. He would have been close. It was more focused on what was happening on the Baron, with Mammoth just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the game at that single moment. But I mean, definitely I still think deserves the player that delivered here today. Just really easily controlled his laning phase, held the wave in a pretty good spot for the most part. And just played a good, solid game of League, right? And you can say that for most of Legacy, I think, overall. But yeah, he was the most good and the most solid.
I love a most good player. Now, we have a most good play of the day. Do you guys have any plays you remember that happened at all? Rusty, I'm going to throw it at you. You good at catch?
Nah. I'm going to say Direwolves team fight in... Yeah, I'm just going to say Direwolves game. That's all I got.
Game?
I don't remember a thing.
I'll say PGG game.
Okay. What about you, Jordan?
I'll say order game. But actually, on the real though, it's so hard when you actually cast. You know, the strangest thing is you watch the whole game. You watch every game, obviously, and you talk about it. But we get to this point in the night, and if you ask me what happened, I really couldn't tell you.
All right, who won out of Chiefs and
Has to be
Direwolves, obviously.
Who won out of Pentanet and Gravitas?
I actually have it on my screen right here, Max. So this is going to work very well for you.
Well, you know, you said you couldn't remember a thing, so at least you have something there to
But it
jog
was
your
the order
memory.
game, wasn't it?
It has to be the order game.
Well, it was not the order game. It was, in fact, the Pentanet game. Now, let's bring it up. It is Pentanet at the Baron fight with this ace to secure the big old dub. And apparently Decoy does some fancy footwork here. Let's have a look. See, Nat, you taking notes? You ready for the replay?
I'm trying to do a Jubes in my head of what I want to say, but honestly, it's going to turn to shambles, and not a good Jubes shambles. It's just a shambles. All right, so we see Gravitas are going to turn off the barriers, and they're going to engage with PGG because they think they can take the fight. It's a 5v4, and then out of nowhere, Praetor actually jumps in as Kaiser, and he's just going to take the back line down. We see all of Gravitas falling down as well. Chaz is going off the side. Decoy, you know, just trying to break some ankles over there. He really just takes down Sapphire at the last second and 5-head on the edge there on the bush.
That was a 6 solar flare from Decoy. Actually, a very good solar flare.
It was not bad.
A very good solar flare and a very great play of the day. So congratulations to Pentanet for getting the dub and the play of the day. Now, let's have a quick look at where all the teams are currently sitting. After 2 days' games, we have a new champion for now. 10-4 at the top of the leaderboard. Pentanet have climbed their way back to victory after being what I believe was 5th at one point, or tied 5th, tied 3rd, tied whatever the bloody hell it was at that point. Maybe even tied 4th. However, they're at the top. Order, 2nd, tied with the Chiefs, 9-5. Both of them. Direwolves as well, 8-6. Peace, 7-7. Still in contention for playoffs, but is that going to happen? Who knows at this point? Even with the big pickups and the big changes in the lineup, it's just not working for them right now. They need to figure out something, and quick, because we're about to head into the 3rd round of games. Gravitas and Legacy still tied up at 6 and 8. Both of them still have a chance to make playoffs very easily there. Mammoth could have wouldn't say it was easy, but they got an L, and now they're 13-1, and it's just not looking too damn good for them.
I do want to say, though, with Peace and Gravitas losing today, Mammoth technically can still make playoffs. It just requires them to win every single remaining game, because there's 7 remaining games. They have to win all of the last games, and Peace and Gravitas have to lose the rest of their games, as well as Legacy. So it is still possible. They just need those 3 teams to not do so well.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird one.
It's probably, I'm going to take a stab at the dog. It's probably like a 2% chance.
Well, let's have a look, at least, at the games coming up on Friday and see how hard and easy all these games are going to be for said teams. Well, Gravitas and Legacy, one of them's going to get a dub already, Nat, because they're playing each other at 6 p.m. 7 p.m, Mammoth and Order. That's going to be another toughie for Mammoth, which they have to win if they want any chance of making it to playoffs. 8 p.m, you got Chiefs and Peace, which will be a banger if Peace can figure out what the hell is going wrong at the moment for them. Game 4, what about it, Rusty?
Looks pretty bloody good. Pentanet against Direwolves. I think Direwolves again with a bit of a resurgence, and PGG, to say resurgence is probably an understatement. Should be 100% the game of the day, if you ask me.
All right, well, I'll ask you. Rusty, what do you think the day of the, day of the game of the day is going to be? I think I need to go to sleep.
Probably game 4.
Game 4. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'd probably go game 4 as well. I think Pentanet's been looking really, really good. So has Direwolves. Be interesting to see how that game does pan out. Obviously, Chiefs versus Peace could be a pretty interesting one as well, given both teams are kind of struggling a little bit at the moment. I'm interested to see which one of them can sort of turn their split around a little bit with a good game there. But what I actually think is quite interesting is that Legacy versus Gravitas game. The first game of the day, obviously, they're battling for a chance to get into the playoffs, and it sort of feels like the winner of that kind of keeps themselves in contention. The loser probably just falls a little bit too far away at this point with 3 weeks left to go after that game. So could be quite a good game, that first one as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the DoorDash LCO for Wednesday. Although, lucky for you guys, we do have one more day of games coming up on Friday. It is yet another Super Week. I believe it's the lucky last one too, so there's going to be no more Super Weeks. But to keep it super, look after yourselves tomorrow and make sure you're there on Friday. Same time, same place here on LCO.
Himself in all sorts of problems once again. Claire is just getting absolutely minced by Lived. He's got nowhere to go, needs only to come up here and help him out, but Lived is going to cop the TP through from Kisei, and this might end up being, indeed, a 1-on-2. Lived continues the onslaught onto only. Lived arrives in the mid lane. There is the Sejuani ult down on top of Cupcake, who is being given the opportunity to use his own ultimate, keeps himself alive for now, tries to E out, does manage to get out. And in fact, it's actually Kisei that surely goes down here, not just him, Swathe as well. Rotation through from the Direwolves, and a clean house. Look at that. The Chiefs decimated. He's going to contest the blue buff. It's gone the way of Akano.
No, they have all.
Oh, Decoy misses his flash over the wall. Don't know that that necessarily is going to save Akano, but well, Pentanet are more than happy to just play the dance for now. In fact, Gravitas pushes the issue. They force the fight. The bombs go through, but they're really not doing enough damage, are they? Pentanet have gotten on top of Gravitas, and that's always going to be a bad time if you are a Gravitas fan. Peace could well look for the turn. Oh, Halo! Where did he go? He's done a magic trick, I think, there, Kevin. He's just said, see you later, Halo. And I think see you later game for Peace right now. All of the Order fans in the chat will rejoice.
And could end if this fails. Joy, this is going to be a very big Baron play from Mammoth. It's do or die right now.
Well, teleport's actually coming through from Incursio. He wants